Somewhere between sleep and wakefulness, there's a portal. An ordinary man from Virginia Beach stumbled upon this portal in 1901, and for 43 years he crossed it over 14,000 times to bring back secrets from the cosmos that still challenge our understanding of reality today. His name was Edgar Cayce, and he revealed something extraordinary. There are 7 sacred plants that vibrate at frequencies capable of completely harmonizing the human soul. Hit subscribe and like the video for more stories like this. But here's what's going to blow your mind. These plants don't just exist, they're all around you right now. And NASA, unknowingly, just confirmed something Cayce said almost a century ago about one of them. Are you ready to discover which plant can literally reprogram your life energy in less than 3 minutes? Because what you're about to discover isn't just botany. It's the key to unlocking ancient codes etched in your DNA, codes that connect you to a cosmic network of consciousness that modern science is only just beginning to grasp. Plants speak an ancient language, older than the pyramids, deeper than the oceans, and today you're going to learn how to listen to them. Edgar Cayce was born in 1877 on a simple farm in Kentucky, the son of farmers who never imagined they were raising someone who would be called the Sleeping Prophet by the New York Times. In 1901, at 24, Cayce lost his voice due to severe laryngitis that no doctor could cure. Desperate, he tried something unthinkable for the time. He entered a self-induced trance state and, speaking in a perfectly clear voice while asleep, prescribed his own treatment. It worked. But that was just the beginning. For the next 43 years, until his death in 1944, Cayce performed 14,306 documented psychic readings, always in the same state of deep trance, always with no conscious memory of what he had said. Doctors, scientists, and researchers from Harvard, Yale, and Johns Hopkins traveled hundreds of miles to witness something that defied all logic. A man with no medical training diagnosing illnesses with surgical precision and prescribing treatments that worked in 85% of documented cases. The Association for Research and Enlightenment, founded in 1931 to study his work, still archives every word he uttered today. And here's the fascinating part. Of the more than 9,000 different substances and treatments Cayce mentioned during his trance, modern science has already confirmed the effectiveness of over 60%. Current medicine routinely uses dozens of treatments that Cayce channeled decades before they were discovered by conventional research. But of all his revelations, perhaps none is as profound as his understanding of the plant kingdom. Cayce didn't see plants as simple biological organisms. For him, they were conscious entities, each vibrating at specific frequencies, capable of interacting directly with human energy centers. And among all the plants he studied, 7 stood out as supreme portals of spiritual healing. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine with me. You're walking through a small wooden house in Virginia Beach in 1932. The air carries the Atlantic salt and the gentle scent of roses that Edgar Cayce personally cultivated in his garden. You can hear the distant sound of waves breaking on the beach, while a warm breeze gently moves the white linen curtains in the room where Cayce is lying on his simple couch. His wife Gertrude is sitting beside him, pen in hand and a notepad on her lap. Her voice is soft, almost whispered. You will have before you the body of... And she mentions the name of someone thousands of miles away, perhaps in New York, perhaps in Europe, someone who never met Edgar Cayce personally, but who seeks answers that conventional medicine cannot offer. What happens in the next few minutes defies everything we think we know about time, space, and consciousness. Cayce's breathing becomes deep and rhythmic. His eyes move rapidly under his closed eyelids, as if he were navigating invisible dimensions. And then, in a voice that sounds different from his waking voice, deeper, more authoritative, loaded with a wisdom that seems to come from ancient times, he begins to speak. In this specific moment, I'm taking you to witness. Cayce is describing something extraordinary. He sees a 42-year-old woman in Chicago, someone he never physically met, and he describes not only her physical symptoms with medical precision, but also the state of her soul. And then something magical happens. He begins to list plants, 7 specific plants, each connected to a different aspect of human spiritual harmony. The first one, he says, and his voice seems to echo through the years to reach your ears now, in this moment, vibrates at the frequency of the heart when it seeks unconditional love. But wait, how is it possible that a man in a deep trance, without access to the internet, without advanced medical books, without even a formal higher education, could know the properties of plants that science would only discover decades later? How did he know that certain plants produce chemical compounds that interact directly with our neurotransmitters in ways we didn't even have words to describe in 1932? Have you ever stopped to think why certain plants make you feel instantly calm, while others awaken your creativity or increase your sense of spiritual connection? Is it a coincidence that practically all the world's spiritual traditions, from Amazonian shamans to Tibetan monks, from Celtic druids to Aboriginal healers, all of them, independently, arrived at similar lists of sacred plants? And here's a question that can completely change your perspective on reality. What if plants weren't just passive organisms silently growing on our planet? What if they were, in fact, conscious biological antennas capable of capturing and transmitting information from frequencies that our physical senses cannot detect? Think about it for a moment. Science has already proven that plants communicate through underground chemical networks, that they scream when cut, at ultrasonic frequencies we can't hear, that they respond to classical music by growing faster and producing sweeter fruits. If they are capable of all this, what other secrets do they hold about the nature of consciousness and spiritual healing? When Cayce identified his 7 plants of spiritual harmony, he wasn't just listing botanical species. He was mapping a complex system of energetic resonance where each plant serves as a specific key to unlock different aspects of our higher spiritual nature. But the question you need to ask yourself is this: are you ready to use these keys? Because once you understand what these plants really are and how they work, you'll never look at a garden, a forest, or even a potted plant in your home the same way again. You'll start to realize that you're surrounded by a living, spiritual pharmacy, breathing and pulsating with cosmic intelligence, just waiting for you to learn its ancient language. If you're feeling this curiosity growing inside you, if something in your soul is recognizing the truth in these words, then leave your like so I know you're ready for this journey. Subscribe to the channel because what's coming next will expand your consciousness in ways you can't even imagine possible. And in the comments, tell me, what was the first time you felt a deep and inexplicable connection with a plant? Let's create a community of seekers of spiritual truth, because this journey is more powerful when we walk together. Now travel with me through time and space, following the invisible threads that connect Edgar Cayce's visions to the oldest traditions of humanity. Close your eyes and let me take you on a journey that began long before Cayce was born. We are now in ancient Egypt, over 4,000 years ago. You're walking through the sacred corridors of the Temple of Isis at Dendera, where priest-physicians guarded secrets about plants they called daughters of Ra, plants that carried the sunlight transformed into medicine for the soul. The scent of frankincense fills the air as you observe detailed hieroglyphs carved into the stone walls, representing not only plants, but their invisible spiritual properties. Here, millennia ago, they already knew what Cayce would rediscover in a trance, that certain plants were direct portals to higher dimensions of healing. The medical papyri of Edwin Smith and Ebers, discovered only in the 19th century, confirm what Egyptian priests routinely practiced: the use of specific plants not only to heal the body, but to harmonize what they called Ka, the spiritual life force of every human being. But the journey doesn't stop here. Cross centuries and continents with me. You now find yourself in the hanging gardens of ancient Babylon, where the Chaldean mages cultivated their star plants, each synchronized with specific celestial movements. They understood something that our modern science is rediscovering: that plants not only respond to sunlight, but to complex cosmic frequencies that directly influence our energetic structure. Jump now to the 12th century Tibetan monasteries, where Buddhist monks developed the medicine of the 5 essences, an intricate system based on plants that corresponded to the 5 elements and the human chakras. In manuscripts preserved in Lhasa, written 800 years before Cayce was born, we find references to the same 7 families of plants he would identify during his trances. Fly with me now to the Amazon rainforests, where Shipibo shamans over 1,000 years ago already mapped what they call teacher plants, conscious plants capable of directly teaching the human soul through visions and altered states of consciousness. Their Icaros sacred songs are not just music, but precise frequencies that activate specific properties in plants, creating bridges between the material and spiritual worlds. And then, as if all these temporal threads converged at a singular point in space-time, Edgar Cayce is born in 1877 on a simple Kentucky farm, carrying in his soul the collective memory of all this ancestral knowledge. It's not a coincidence, it's cosmic convergence. When Cayce entered a trance and accessed information about the 7 plants of spiritual harmony, he wasn't inventing anything new. He was reconnecting with an Akashic library of wisdom that had always existed, always been accessible, but that modern humanity had forgotten in its rush for technology and materialism. And here's what's going to blow your mind. Each of these ancient traditions, separated by thousands of years and thousands of miles, independently came to the same fundamental conclusion. There are specific plants that function as direct interfaces between our physical consciousness and our higher spiritual nature. It's not superstition. It's advanced spiritual science that we're only just beginning to understand. But here's where the story gets really fascinating, because modern science is validating, one by one, Edgar Cayce's seemingly impossible visions of the plant kingdom. In 2019, NASA launched a revolutionary study on interplanetary plant communication that left the scientific community baffled. They discovered that certain plants emit specific electromagnetic frequencies that can be detected by satellites hundreds of miles up. Even more impressive, these frequencies vary according to the plant's emotional state: stress, contentment, active growth, dormancy. Does that sound familiar? Because in 1932, Edgar Cayce was already describing exactly that. During one of his most famous readings, he said, "Plants speak in a language of frequencies that travels through the ether. Each species holds its own vibrational signature, and these signatures can be read by consciousnesses attuned to the appropriate frequency." The scientific community laughed at him back then. Nobody's laughing now. Dr. Monica Gagliano, a neuroscientist at the University of Sydney, published research in 2016 that shook the foundations of traditional botany. She proved, using rigorous scientific methods, that plants have memory, can learn complex behaviors, and communicate with each other through underground chemical networks that she called the Internet of the Forest. Her findings were so controversial that she had to reproduce the experiments in multiple labs before the scientific community accepted the results. But Cayce had already described this decades earlier. In 1934, during a deep trance, he explained, "The plant kingdom operates as a planetary neural network. Each plant is simultaneously an individual neuron and part of a larger collective consciousness. They store information, process experiences, and transmit wisdom through channels that transcend physical space." And here's something that will explode your mind. Modern quantum physics is discovering that plants operate through quantum principles that allow instantaneous communication across great distances, what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. Dr. Jim Al-Khalili, a physicist at the University of Surrey, demonstrated in 2014 that photosynthesis works through quantum tunneling, allowing plants to process light energy in ways that defy our classical understanding of physics. This means that when Cayce spoke about plants operating on cosmic frequencies, he was describing, decades in advance, quantum phenomena that science is only now beginning to comprehend. But the validation doesn't stop there. The HeartMath Institute in California published studies in 2018 showing that certain plants can synchronize their electromagnetic fields with the human heart rhythm, creating measurable states of psychophysiological coherence, exactly what Cayce called spiritual harmony between humans and plants. Dr. Nassim Haramein, a physicist at the Resonance Science Foundation, discovered that plants generate torsional fields, vortices of energy that interact directly with the fabric of space-time. His measurements show that specific plants produce torsional fields that correspond exactly to the frequencies of the human chakras described by traditional medicine systems. And here's the most impressive discovery. MIT researchers found in 2020 that plants produce nanoparticles that, when inhaled by humans, directly cross the blood-brain barrier and interact with specific neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, modulating our states of consciousness in ways that modern pharmacology is trying to artificially replicate. When Cayce identified his 7 plants of spiritual harmony, he wasn't channeling mystical fantasies. He was accessing an advanced understanding of spiritual biotechnology that our science is only beginning to catch up to. Now comes the question that really matters. How can you integrate this ancestral wisdom, validated by modern science, into your daily life, starting right now? You don't need to travel to Tibetan monasteries or Amazonian rainforests. You don't need to enter a deep trance like Edgar Cayce. The 7 plants of spiritual harmony are closer to you than you think, and I'm going to show you exactly how to activate them to transform your inner reality. First, practical revelation. Your home is a potential spiritual laboratory. Right now, as you listen to me, there are plants around you, maybe a succulent on the windowsill, a fern in the bathroom, trees outside, all of them emitting specific energy fields that are subtly influencing your state of consciousness. But here's the secret Cayce discovered. Conscious interaction exponentially amplifies the effects. When you simply observe a plant with genuine curiosity, when you touch its leaves with the intention of connection, when you consciously breathe in its presence, you activate an energetic resonance that modern science is beginning to measure. Let's start with something simple you can do today. Find any green plant in your home or neighborhood. It could be a rose in the garden, a mint plant in the kitchen pot, even a tree on the street. Sit about 3 feet away from it. Close your eyes and breathe deeply 3 times. Now open your eyes and look at the plant as if you're seeing it for the first time. Observe the shapes of the leaves, the texture of the surface, the growth patterns. You're seeing sacred geometry in action. Each leaf follows precise mathematical proportions that resonate with the fundamental structure of the universe. When you consciously observe these forms, your brain automatically enters a state of coherence that neuroscientists call alpha rhythm, the same state that meditators take years to master. Now, extend your right hand towards the plant, keeping it about 6 inches from the leaves. Don't touch yet. Just hold your palm open as if you're greeting a silent friend. You might start to feel a subtle sensation, maybe a tingling, maybe a slight change in temperature, maybe just an intuitive sense of presence. That's not your imagination. You're detecting the plant's bioelectric field, which directly interacts with the electromagnetic field of your heart. The HeartMath Institute has measured this interaction and found that it creates instant synchronization between your heart rhythm and the plant's energetic cycles. But here's where it gets really interesting for your practical life. Each of the 7 plants Cayce identified corresponds to a specific aspect of human well-being that you need in modern life. When you're stressed by work, overwhelmed by technology, feeling your life energy drained by toxic environments, there's a specific plant that acts as an instant energetic reset. You don't need medication. You don't need expensive therapies. You need 3 minutes of conscious interaction with this plant. When you lack mental clarity, when your intuition is blocked, when you need to make important decisions but your mind is muddled, there's a second plant that Cayce identified as the one that opens the portals of inner wisdom. 5 minutes in its presence, following a specific protocol I'll share, can completely transform your capacity for perception. For matters of the heart, difficult relationships, old hurts, difficulty giving or receiving love, there's a third plant that vibrates specifically at the frequency of the heart chakra. It not only heals emotional wounds, but expands your capacity for unconditional love in ways you didn't even know were possible. And here's something that can revolutionize your spiritual life immediately. You don't have to believe in any of this for it to work. Just as gravity works regardless of your opinion about it, these plants operate through natural laws that transcend personal beliefs. All you need is genuine curiosity and a willingness to experiment. The person you were when you started listening to this video and the person you can become after integrating these practices are two completely different versions of yourself. And the difference isn't just spiritual, it's neurological, it's physiological, it's measurable by modern science. But there's something Edgar Cayce never publicly revealed about these 7 plants. Something he whispered only once in 1943, a year before he died, during a private session that was secretly recorded by his son Hugh Lynn Cayce, but remained sealed in the ARE archives for over 70 years. What he said in that recording will leave you speechless. Cayce revealed that these 7 plants don't work in isolation. They operate as an interconnected system, a living mandala of consciousness, that when activated in the correct sequence, awakens what he called the 8th portal, a state of consciousness that completely transcends the limitations of common human perception. You might be wondering, why did Cayce keep this a secret throughout his public life? The answer will surprise you. It wasn't due to exaggerated mysticism or spiritual elitism. It was out of pure responsibility. Cayce discovered that when the 7 plants are combined following the specific protocol he received during the trance, they create a neurological alteration so profound that the person literally accesses what quantum physicists today call conscious superposition states. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist at the University of Arizona and collaborator of physicist Roger Penrose, published evidence in 2020 that human consciousness operates through quantum processes in brain microtubules. His findings suggest that specific altered states can synchronize these quantum processes in ways that allow direct access to what he calls non-local cosmic information. This means that Cayce wasn't channeling information from spirit guides, as many believed. He had discovered, intuitively, how to use certain plants to induce quantum states of consciousness that allowed direct access to the informational structure of the universe. And here's what's going to make you question everything you think you know about reality. This secret 1943 recording contains precise instructions on how anyone can activate this sequence. It's not dangerous. It doesn't require years of preparation. But it does require something many people aren't willing to give: complete surrender to the possibility that you are far more than you imagine yourself to be. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share fragments of this information with you. But I need to warn you. Once you know what I'm about to tell you, you won't be able to pretend you don't know. Your spiritual life will be divided into before and after this moment. You already know the first 3 plants in the sequence. They're in practically every urban garden. The 4th plant literally grows under your feet when you walk on grass. The 5th is so common that you probably use it to season food without knowing its spiritual potential. But it's the specific interaction between them, following the timing and intention that Cayce decoded, that unlocks portals of perception that most people don't even dream exist. Are you ready to discover something that can change not only how you feel, but how you perceive the very nature of reality? Close your eyes again and imagine your consciousness is like a piano with keys you never knew existed. Most people live playing only the white keys, the 5 basic senses, linear thoughts, familiar emotions. But Cayce's 7 plants are like discovering there are hidden golden keys, capable of producing harmonies that make your entire soul vibrate at celestial frequencies. The first plant, and I'm going to give you a hint that will surprise you, is one you see every day but have never truly observed. It grows in perfect spirals that follow the Fibonacci sequence, the same mathematical proportion found in galaxies, hurricanes, and the curve of your ear. When you truly look at this plant, when you allow your eyes to follow these natural spirals, something extraordinary happens in your visual cortex. You automatically enter what neuroscientists call a hypnagogic state, the same brain frequency that Edgar Cayce accessed during his trances. Imagine now that you're touching the leaves of this plant with your fingertips. The texture is like liquid silk, but with a subtle electrical quality that makes your skin tingle gently. You're not just touching plant matter, you're making direct contact with a living information field, breathing, pulsating with ancient intelligence encoded in every cell. The second plant releases an aroma that's like, have you ever smelled the rain moments before it starts? that unique scent of ozone and earth that awakens something deep within your chest. Cayce's second plant carries that same primordial aroma, but amplified. When you consciously inhale its fragrance, it's as if each molecule is a microscopic key unlocking memories that aren't yours, memories of the species, memories of the planet, cosmic memories etched in your DNA from the very first moment consciousness condensed into matter. And the sound, oh, the sound these plants make when you truly learn to listen to them. It's not audible in the conventional sense. It's more like a whispered symphony you feel through your bones, a vibration that resonates directly in your sternum and spreads through your nervous system like golden waves of recognition. Each plant has its own note on the cosmic scale, and when all seven sound together, they create chords that instantly harmonize any dissonance in your energetic field. The third plant literally glows, when seen with peripheral vision in moments of deep stillness. It's a subtle, almost imperceptible glow, as if each leaf were an organic LED radiating light at frequencies your physical eyes can barely capture, but which your pineal gland immediately recognizes as light from home, the same luminosity you perceived before being born onto this physical plane. Think of it as if you were a human tuning fork that has spent its entire life slightly out of tune, vibrating at frequencies that create internal dissonance, anxiety, disconnection, the feeling that something is missing. These seven plants are like master tuning forks, each perfectly calibrated to harmonize a specific aspect of your multidimensional nature. When you activate the complete sequence, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it, it's as if your entire consciousness is a violin being tuned by a cosmic virtuoso. Every string of your soul finds its perfect tension. Every aspect of your being aligns with its original frequency, and you experience something that human words are inadequate to describe. You remember who you truly are. And now we come to the moment of truth. You've spent the last few minutes receiving information that has the power to completely transform your experience of living. But information without action is just spiritual entertainment. True alchemy happens when you step away from this screen and into the world with new perception. Here's your first challenge, and I call it a challenge because it will require courage to break automatic patterns. For the next 7 days, you're going to create a daily ritual of connection with plants. It doesn't have to be complex. It can simply be waking up 3 minutes earlier and consciously sitting near any green plant, breathing with intention and observing without judgment. But here's where the real transformation happens. You're going to document your experiences. Each day, write 3 words that describe how you feel after this conscious connection. Just 3 words. Jot them down on your phone, in a notebook, wherever. At the end of 7 days, you'll have a list of 21 words that map your personal journey of awakening to plant consciousness. And then, here's your second challenge. Share this experience. It doesn't have to be public if you don't feel comfortable. It can be with a close friend, a family member, your partner. Tell someone that you're experimenting with a new form of spiritual connection through plants. Observe how this conversation changes the dynamic between you. Observe how talking about it alters your own relationship with the experience. Because here's a profound truth Edgar Cayce understood. Spiritual knowledge multiplies when it's shared authentically. Every time you tell someone about a genuine experience of connection with the plant kingdom, you're not just informing, you're planting seeds of possibility in another person's consciousness. If this video has touched something real inside you, if you feel that there's more to this life than the mechanical routine of working, consuming, and sleeping, then your soul is ready for the next level of this journey. Subscribe to this channel because I'm going to continue sharing the specific secrets Edgar Cayce revealed about each of the 7 sacred plants. In the next video, I'll reveal the identity of the first plant and teach you the exact protocol to activate it. Leave a comment telling me your first memory of a significant connection with a plant. Was it in childhood? Was it recently? It doesn't matter when it was, it matters that it happened, because that means your consciousness already knows how to recognize the ancient language that plants speak. Let's create a community of people who are rediscovering this lost wisdom. And here's my final invitation to you. Step out of the comfort zone of skeptical doubt and into the growth zone of direct experience. You can spend the rest of your life asking, is this real? Or you can invest 7 days in discovering for yourself. Which path best serves the highest version of who you came to be in this incarnation? Hit subscribe and like the video for more stories like this. The plants are waiting. They always have been. The question isn't whether they will speak to you. The question is, are you ready to listen? The next step is yours, and I'll be here to guide you through every discovery of this transformative journey that connects ancient wisdom with modern science, revealing who you truly are beyond the limitations you've accepted as reality. Your soul recognizes the truth in these words. Trust that recognition. It's the beginning of your true spiritual adventure.